Hello guys, how are we doing and welcome back to the channel. Today I have another Help with Harrz episode where which is a series where I review subscribers and viewers' gameplays to hopefully make them better COD players. Today we have Joey's to review and they're going to be focusing on how they can improve on how to play the AR role a little bit more effectively, what routes to take, what positions to hold and where to sit and play. So if you are a struggling AR or you're an SMG who wants to become a good AR, this video is hopefully going to be for you because we're going to be covering all sorts of things surrounding that topic. We're going to read through this form that Joey has submitted. We're then going to go through the gameplay and then give a final little bit of a review with a bit of a summary and a predicted rank by the end of the next season, because I know we're at the end of nearly season 5 now, for season 6, where I think they're going to finish by the end of MW3. Before we get into it, though, I've got a question for you guys. Are you still interested in getting better on MW3? I know there's a lot of tips I can still provide that will be translatable to Black Ops 6, because a lot of it's just fundamental information that you're going to be able to apply to any Call of Duty. But obviously the things like spawns and map knowledge and things like that aren't really relevant if you're not playing MW3. So just let me know down in the comments. I want to get a feel for it. I might put a poll out if I don't get much response to this video. But are we still grinding MW3? Do we still want to get better at it? Or are we just sat back, relaxing, waiting for Black Ops 6? So, anyway, that's me blabbering on. Let's get into the form. So, Joey submitted this form, and they play it on New Gen console. They play 35 hours a week. So that's a fairly considerable amount of time. That's about 5 hours a day if they play every day. Current rank is Diamond 3. Highest rank is Crimson 1. Decent sensitivity, decent FOV. Not a channel member, but that's fine because there's not as much traffic this season. So I've been able to review this. Their setup is a solid setup again. So we've got the grounds, we've got the playtime, we've got the settings, we've got the equipment to be a really solid COD player. So we're going to see what's fundamentally holding you back here at Crimson 1 level. So let's go for a read before we get into the gameplay. How to bridge the gap between Crimson and Iridescent. The routes I should be taking as a main AR. The lanes, areas I should be watching. Credit spots that I can exploit to make me harder to kill. There's often gunfights where I'm probably not using movement to my advantage as much as I could do too. So we're going to be focusing on that bit there. If this player wants to be better as a main AR, most of these tips are going to be focused on this. It's a Sub Base Hardpoint gameplay, so there will be tips specific to that map mode combo. But there's going to be a lot of just fundamental knowledge you guys are going to be able to apply to any map you're playing. In your opinion, what do you struggle with when playing MW3 ranked play? There's still a few gaps in spawn knowledge. I struggle with timings a lot and keep track of players around the map. Often find myself trying to move to a better position to watch over my team, but die in the process. Sometimes unsure of when to play aggressive and push up the map or sit back and let enemies come to me. Making split second reads also is difficult. That's fine. With the split second reads, that's just time. That's you putting enough time into Call of Duty, generally, not specifically just one COD, to get that real reactive. It's what the pros do. They don't even have to think about the things they're doing half the time because they've already practiced it so much before. So, as I said, it's a Sub Base Hardpoint. Let's get into the gameplay. I've skipped a little bit just to see if there's any foul language I need to be aware of, but it looks clean, so we're all good. We are taking a look at the leaderboard here. We are duo queuing with a. So this is you, Diamond 3. We are duo queuing, I believe, with Bandit, who is another Diamond 3 player. Interestingly, you've got a Iridescent rank 41 on your team, so hopefully they do carry you, but we'll see the result when we get to the end. But let's have a look at what routes we take off of the rip. So first things first, I just want to give you a little bit of sub-base map knowledge here. When you spawn in over on this side, which is where you just were, let's pretend this is you, what you can do is often, a lot of the times you can catch an enemy running through maze to get to the hill. If you throw a nade, if you get to here, throw a nade into this general distress area, the nade will often connect when they just come out of maze just here. So in order to do that, you essentially have to throw it over the helicopter. It'll give you a couple of times to practice it, so just adjust your angles very slightly. But yeah, there's a nice little nade spot you can do, which only works with frags, which might just give you a little bit of an edge on this break-off. But I don't mind this route anyway. You've got a lot of pressure on the right at the front of the map, the front of the hill. You've applied a little pressure to this side. Not a bad route whatsoever. Now, in my head, as a main AR player, you're always having to think about the next hill. What spawns do I want for the next hill, and how do I make sure I get them? So that's fundamentally what you probably should be doing, mainly because you're going to have more time, hopefully, as a main AR player, because your sub players and your more aggressive players are going to be getting in there, getting into gunfights. But you seem to be dealing with 2 people already, so it's maybe not that easy. But essentially, what I'm trying to get into your head is that. So if we take a look at this, P2 is here, and in order to get the P2 spawns, you need to be blocking this back spawn back here. There's a couple of spawns back here, but the main one is this area which we want to block. And in order to block that, a very simple way to block that is to go top third. Now, typically, I try and get the spawns almost immediately. And you don't have to rotating as the main AR doesn't always mean just getting into the new hill. It also means getting the spawn, spawning the enemy the other side of where you want to be spawning. So a route I typically do, which often works, is I come off spawn from this side. I come off and take a long route left, like so. Sometimes an enemy is sat watching this area, so you've got to win that gunfight. But from here, you can then go all the way around, hop up to top third, and then from here, as long as you stay alive in this top third area, you're blocking this spawn. So you will naturally just be spawning enemies further out, which means that you've already guaranteed the good spawns of P2. So that's a real nice route you can try and take going forward, to just try and get those P2 spawns really early, and then you can worry about P1. But I'm not completely against what you're doing here. I'm interested to see what we do. Okay, so we get the first kill. That's a little bit rough. So what we've done there is fine, but we've wide-chowed completely here. So if we pause it here, let's say you didn't do any movement to get to this position. Do you feel like this is a good position to be in to challenge someone up there? Like, realistically, they're on a fairly mean heady of this. You've got absolutely zero cover beneath you. Do you feel like that's something that, a gunfight you're likely to win? The answer should be no. You get stunned, which is unfortunate, so you perhaps would have died anyway. But I would like to have seen you get that kill. You immediately know there's someone there because you've reacted to it. You're reacting to it now. What I'd like to see is potentially a little bit of play. Yeah, so you get that kill. Great. What I'd like to see is you use this as a heady. You can use this as a heady really quite easily. All you have to do is to push up to this area here, use this as a heady, and you can see if they push you that side. What you can also do is just do a little bunny hop, just do a little jump over the tank, and just to see where they're coming from. You don't know if they're going to be trying to aggro you out a little bit here, and then you can make the decision. The fact that we've wide swung without any sort of, I assume we wide swung hoping that they'd have been a little bit out of cover here. If you'd have got the knowledge by hopping up over the tank, not completely over, but just getting up and down again just for a little bit of a view, you would have got the information on this player and then potentially killed them before they did this. But in any case, you didn't. There's no trophy there. You got stunned. Perhaps you would have died anyway, but you could have managed that gameplay, that gunfight a little bit better. Okay, we're halfway into the first hill. We've got 7 points. They've got 0. It seems like because their reluctance. There's 3 people down on your team. They took a while to get to the hill. In my head, I'm going, okay, there's probably a lot of emphasis on the enemy team at the new hill because they're not quite being as reactive as they should be on the old on P1. Nice route. So pushing through the new hill enables you to get those spawns, and that's on any map. That's often the case. You don't want to get just to the new hill. You want to push through the new hill into the back of the map. In order to get the spawns. That's typically, without going into the detail at every single spawn, that's typically how you get the spawns 90% of the time. But I really like this. You're playing your life. That's 3 down, which means you've got a little bit of a great shot, by the way. That's 3 down, your teammate's spawning with you. That tells you they're spawning where you've just been spawning. So if you're not completely sure of spawns, then you're like, okay, they should be spawning out. Where have I just spawned? That's a nice way to remember where they're going to be spawning. So you've just spawned the other side of warehouse to take this route through P5 to get to where you are now. They're probably going to be spawning there. We read it really perfectly. It's a shame we lose that gunfight. I personally hate challenging anyone out of this window, especially when you dedicate this. It's such a low ledge as well. This ledge here is so low. It almost doesn't feel like it gives you cover. But my advice when you're challenging out this window is to really peek it, like try and make it so that your aim is only just above this ledge. So you've got most of your body covered from that ledge, whether that's crouching, whether it's backing up a little bit. You really don't want to expose yourself this much to that gunfight, because if you put yourself in their shoes, they're coming out of warehouse. Where's the one place you're guaranteed to pre-aim when you're pushing P2? it's going to be this window. You need to make sure when you're pushing this window or when you're challenging from this window, you've got as little as your body's showing as possible. And that goes for the same thing everywhere. If you seem to be going into a predictable spot, make sure you're not completely committing to it, because you're just likely going to die. It's fine. We spawn in. Teammates have got decent control of the map. Nice. We're still aware they're spawning there, so I don't mind that play. Nice pick. Nice stun nade. That's, you know exactly where an enemy is now. So that's a really nice example. There's so many times I do this series and episodes where I don't see people use their stun and frags properly. That's a great example of why exactly you should use it, because it's just told you exactly where an enemy is, meaning that you can then focus on that little area. The positioning here isn't great, I've got to admit, but I'm not going to critique it too much because it seems to be working out for you. Yeah, that's just really rough timing. So that's a real good play. So they've done enough damage on the hill to draw you in. Now, when you're in this position, so I'm just saying from and off, this isn't really the greatest position to be in, because they can be, you're not covered if they run, out of warehouse and decide to hop up the window. You're not covered if they, run and then run under you. Like, so you're only really covered. You're only really covering the area where they either come to this line of sight or this line of sight, which is fairly unlikely. You did get a stun. I love that. What I'd have done whilst that stun was active was reposition myself over behind this area here. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can. And what you can do from here is use this as a head glitch and look over it. And what you can see from there is the whole cut outside of warehouse. If I show you on the tac map quickly, after I undo all of those, essentially what happens is when you are back here, you can watch the line of sight, which pretty much, to be fair, yeah, pretty much looks like that. Because you're on this head glitch near the oil, and what you can do, you can see that it covers every exit out of that warehouse, and you're also in a really weird off angle. What it also covers, it gives you the ability to also see from, if anyone decides to hop up onto this AC, it also enables you to see that as well. You get those kills, and then you try, and your aim then is to push up a little bit further. So let's say you get those kills, so that's dead. They're still going to be spawning back here as long as your teammates are, blocking this area over here. And what that will enable you to do, once you've got a couple of kills from this area, you've then got an easier route to go, up to P5, up to here, hop up to office, and then you can just look at them as they spawn and run into your line of sight. That's what my aim is to be that real big cut as an AR. You want to make sure you're cutting the map, especially on a map like Sub Base, where 3 of the hills, 1, 2, and 3, are one side of this map line here, this open space here. So on those hills on P2, 3, and 4, it's really nice to be able to utilize an AR properly to make sure they can't cross this danger zone. This should be horrible for them to cross out of, which is why it's so important to get these P2 spawns, have them spawn in this side. I mean, they've got to run across this horrible area in the middle here, some way, shape, or form. But it's only scary for them if they've got ARs looking at them from every area. So you've got to be careful where you're watching. So personally, great, use the stun. I'd have then probably repositioned to a more useful area like that oil, for example, to watch the line of sight across there. Oh, still drawing. But yeah, what happens here, you get drawn in to help the hill. You still haven't accounted for the player who you stunned yet. And they've taken the great timing there to, you've been spotted crossing into here. They've probably run under you by this point. They go around you and you're there. So it's about being cautious of when you're holding a line of sight, where is open, and making sure that, guarantee the enemy aren't going to come from that direction. It's fine, we spawn in, what routes we take. Run directly to the hill, I don't mind that much. Good kill. You clearly trusted in your gunner, you got your teammates trade, and you get the scrap time, which I don't actually mind too much. Just for reference here, we approach this window, this is an even better example of it. When you approach this really open big window, you're very brash about it. Like, you put yourself fully out there. You may as well be out of the window because there's not really much cover. So if we take a look at where you slide to, if someone was on this heady looking at you, you're dead. If there's someone, even if there's someone behind the forklift, you're probably dead because they're on a better heady. If there's someone top office, you're probably dead. You've put yourself out there quite a lot being in this area of the window, better way to do it would have been to, jiggle peek every single aspect to make sure you've cleared it very quickly and then move on. It doesn't affect you in this scenario because no one's really there. But when you start to play better players, they will be watching that, and you're gonna, it's gonna punish you doing what you're doing there. I don't mind this route. I'm holding. Okay. I don't necessarily mind that. I imagine what's happening. I can't hear your comms, but the teammate you're playing with, Bandit, it's probably called out that there's a player coming this direction. And what you've done is challenge them. So if that is the case, obviously I can't hear you, so it's an assumption. All you need to do is wait. Worst case scenario, they drop down. But what you're trying to play here is the map control. You want the height advantage on the enemy team. And the best way to have that is to secure the top snow control. It's an awful... you must imagine yourself down on the hard point where they are currently. The most horrendous place the enemy can push from is above through top snow. So you really want to try and play for that control. But in this gunfight, your teammates communicated that they're coming this direction, probably, hopefully. So just wait for them to push through this door. If you get the kill, great. But if they don't push through the door, they drop down. It is what it is. You still maintain that top snow control. It's very easy to get parallel spawn set, especially when there's a lot of pressure. So just for your information, there's a few spawns underneath. So I'm just going to mark them in light blue here. There's a spawn sort of there. There's a spawn back where you've just spawned, and then there's like a middle spawn. Oftentimes when you have parallel spawns, and why, in case you don't know what parallel spawns means, it's where you're sort of spawning the same side of the map. Oftentimes if you spawn here, it tells you the enemy spawned here. And if you spawn here, the enemy's probably spawned there. If you spawn middle, you're probably a little bit more okay to know there's not an enemy there. But what I would always do, especially when you've just got two down, your teammates are putting a lot of pressure on the spawn, it's very easy for an enemy to just flip spawns and spawn here. So as you're coming out of this area, as you're running off of this spawn, coming out of P2, I would love to see you check the bottom left here, wait for there any crosses. Perfect. Perfect! Brilliant. Trust yourself. There's a few dead there. There's still more to come. But this is nice. You're holding map progression. This is really perfect, actually. Somehow your teammates got off the hill, which is unfortunate. Just giving away 10 seconds of scrap time there. Okay, so there's 3 people. So let's just count. There's 2 people dead at this point. Okay, you get 1, so that means there's another person who's just spawned in. So that's one of the ones who would have already spawned in. So that's 2 people still. Your teammate, however, just gets a kill over at the new hill, which tells you there's now 3 people potentially spawning behind you. So you need to be very much aware that that's going to be happening, and they're probably going to be rotating to new. But I like what you're doing here. In your head, you're going, okay, let me stop them from, getting across the map, getting to the old hill. But realistically, their attention, they've just spawned out. They're probably just spawned in. Now, chances of them pushing the new hill is very, very unlikely. So they're going to be setting up for new. And I think you understand that because then you start to rotate. But what we've done here, being in this position at the bottom AC, hasn't given you much information whatsoever. You're completely lost. You knew an enemy was like top here, but you also know 3 of them are spawned bottom A. So you need to be, and there's been a few seconds since that's happened, you need to be very much aware that there's enemies going to be close. They're all spawned bottom maze. They're all going to be around this sort of area. So you need to be, pushing up the map a little bit more sensitively, is probably the word I'd suggest. Now, I sort of like the route. I like your thinking. P4 is about to get active, and you're thinking, you know what, if I can get, let's use orange, if I can get all the way around, I can guarantee this spawn back here, meaning it's super easy for P4. Unfortunately, we do get caught. But as I say, that if you'd have played a little bit more cautiously, we knew 3 of the enemy teammates spawned over in this area, pretty much in the circle I've just drawn. So you've got to be careful that they're going to be playing for cuts. They're going to be looking for you. Especially considering you've shot, you've just killed someone, they're going to be looking for you, so you've got to play that a little bit more cautiously. So unfortunately, we spawned out at the very last second. Your teammate's probably going to spawn exactly with you. They just have, and we're in a pretty sticky situation pushing up to P4 now. That nade probably hasn't gone anywhere, hate to tell you. Ooh, that's rough. I'd love to see that kill cam. Yeah, that's rough. I imagine you knew they were there or something, because you challenged that a little bit weird to not know they were there. But what you could have easily done is just seep through and get behind them. It's a horrible challenge to challenge through this door, and I would refrain from doing that if at all possible. But you probably just assumed they didn't know you were there, but they can probably hear you. You've got lightweight on, you've got to assume any enemy is going to be able to hear you. Okay, we're spawning quite far out, so this is a real tough situation to be in. Now, try and get it into your patterns and rhythms that when you're playing Sub Base, or when you're playing a map like this where you've got to cross, as a cut, you've got to cross over to get to the hill. You've got to make sure you're clearing areas. Now, I think you don't really have to in this, it seems, because no one's watching the cross whatsoever. But get into top server there, check in top third, and then progressing up would give you a little bit of a safer route. Because as soon as you get into the lobbies of High Crimson, Iridescence, they're going to be top third, and they're going to be knowing you're going to spawn server and running out of it. So you need to take your time to, check those spots first, and then progress up the map. Yeah, teammate managed to get the kill top third. That's rough. Okay. On this hill, I see a lot of people make the mistake of trying to kill the people in the back, where what often happens, if you kill the person, there's so much cover for them, right? All the way back here, there's so much cover for them to just look at the hill. So it's very easy for them to just sit back in these areas and watch the hill. But what it does mean is that if you can get top third control, let's say that's the enemy's position, let's say your position's like on this line, let's say you can get top third control, which you could have done from middle. You did try the jump, which I think you need to be fully sprinting to make that jump. Let's say you got this top third control. All you nearly need to do as a team, screw these players back here, try and work together to, even if one of you has to just commit your life to it, kill the player on P4, spawning them probably, if I'm honest, they'll probably spawn back here behind you. But what that will do, it will make the hill uncontested. They won't be on it, you won't be on it, it will be white time. And what it would mean is that this enemy, any enemy who sat behind this position, would have to push across this really open space to get to the hill, which they're unlikely to do if you've got top third control. So it's all about progressing up the map, getting the control of the areas that really matter, and getting the kills that matter. So I'm hoping that sort of makes sense. In just reporting back, you can make this jump. You can also jump onto this little box here on the right and jump up. There's ways you can do it, but you really want to get that top third control if at all possible, because where they're spawning back here, they've got to run across this open lane here, and it really enables you to get the kills on P4 and then keep them back, which is the main focus. Okay, so we spawned in the back, which actually I don't mind, because these are my preferable spawns for P5, sorry. I'm fine, we're just getting the scrap, absolutely fine. Nice little spot. So you've got an enemy P2, you've got an enemy bottom maze. Your teammate has just spawned out. I've just noticed. Now, as an AR player, you need to be thinking about every hill with a perfect setup in mind. Okay, so for me, I love to have P2 spawns for P5. This is for P5, by the way. Let me just select P5. I love to have P2 spawns and spawn the enemy team over here, meaning that they've then got to run through tunnel or through warehouse to get to the hill. And what that means you can do is, sit top P2 window, looking down. You can get into, top office and look down at them. You can get top third and look across and look through tunnel. You've got to try and, in your head, for every hill, have an ideal position you want to be in. So because that's my preference, I like the P2 spawns. I like trapping them back warehouse. And when you watch a lot of teams who are really good at the game, that's what they're likely to do. I'm really playing for this. So the fact my team are spawning out is a massive concern. You get a really good kill there. Another very good kill. But you've got to be worried about being annoying now. Let your team fill in the gaps behind you. You really want to fight for these spawns. You don't want to go towards the bad spawns, because that'll mean that the enemy team, spawn further away, or they spawn closer to the hill. So my main focus here is to be annoying to the enemy. That's literally all your focus should be. There's 3 down. Last enemy is over here on the minimap. they're likely to spawn on you, and you've just got to make sure you stay alive. You don't necessarily have to go out of this direction. I don't know why we necessarily played for that. You could have literally sat in a corner in top P2 and challenged, but hey, that was a wanky gunfight. But it's fine, because look, you got the spawns. You were annoying enough. You got enough really important kills to get these spawns. So now it's all about just not letting them out of the warehouse. So again, we're in this really horrible position where you're here, there's not much cover for you other than this big AC. You get one kill, a team kill, and your teammates spawn there. But you've recognized that. You've recognized that. That's brilliant. Nice, play your life, play your life, play your life. Ready spot. You did not need to change bloody guns. I'm intrigued as to why you changed guns. You only shot 3 bullets there, 4 bullets, and you've got 8 bullets left. They're quite weak. You've put 2 bullets in them. You're going to need to hit a quarter of these to get the kill, maybe a little bit more. So you'd have been fine not pulling out your pistol. That's fine. I'm sure you know that. Okay, we take a route through tunnel, which I absolutely detest. It's a massive opening into the middle of the map that has no cover. There's a lot that seems to be working in this thing that which I would just in this game mode, in this gameplay, what I would just simply never do. And I think in order to bridge your gap between Crimson and Iridescent, you really need to be playing against or learning what better players are doing. And plummeting out of tunnel just like that is a really rogue thing to do if you don't have complete control of top third, top P2. You know, the areas that can easily look down the tunnel without having to come out of cover. That's fine. We sit on the hill. Nice little snake in. Great kill. Good maneuverability as well. Your teammates push through. That's 3 down. Okay, your teammate's still spawning out, which tells you they're probably still spawning behind you back here. Although your teammates push so far around now, so any kill will get the enemy team to spawn where you were just spawning, the other side of the tunnel. Nice, teammates going absolutely huge. Well done playing your life. Okay, 3 down. Good effort. I like what you're trying there. Okay. I like the idea. I really like the idea because what you're trying to do, you're trying to get height, you're trying to get to a power position. I really like that. It's just there's a few things I want to point out as being not quite how I would do it. So, first things first, you've got 3 down. Your teammate, where's the teammate? Top, I believe. No, hasn't pushed too far up. But I would do here, I would be checking to see if they've spawned in here because 4 down, a lot of things can happen. I'm going to make it so that P2 is showing. All you need to do is make sure they're not spawning back here. Okay. As soon as you know that, which you know after a few seconds, because that's how long the respawn timer is, you know that's where the spawn is down here. Now, as I said, P2, 3, and 4, they have to cross from the bad spawn to the new hill to the current hill. They have to cross this absolute mess of a middle map. So you want to make sure you're stopping that from happening. Now, you don't have to stay on this side. You don't have to be top third. You don't have to be here. You don't have to be here. You don't have to be here. You can, as long as somebody is blocking the back spawn here, you can push to top snow. You can push to top office. You can push to top comms. You can be anywhere there, stopping them from coming across. But your main focus, you've just got 4 down. You know they're not spawning here because you've just pushed this through, so you're blocking it. They're going to be spawning here, where we've seen them just down here. Your main concern at that point is to make sure they can't cross here. Now, you can do that from middle. There's a real nice spot. I'm going to do all of these. But having control of this middle lane is pivotal. There are 2 places they're going to run. If you think yourself in their position, they're going to run outside a warehouse because that's just an easy route for them to take, or they're going to run outside a tunnel. Chance of them wrapping all the way around is fairly slim until it gets to the end of the hill. Considering the hill is still quite new, they're the 2 routes they're likely to take. They might go top snow, but in any case, they're going to be in these 2 areas. You want to make sure that you can play a real nice off angle. There's a Jeep just here. where you can look down the middle of the map and you can kill anyone coming out of tunnel, you can kill anyone coming out of warehouse. You can also get to top comms, which you can do the same thing. You can also then, after you get the kills top comms, you can move yourself all the way to top office, and then from there, what you can do, you can simply look down at them coming through warehouse. There's so much you can do. You don't necessarily have to pull back to this side of the map just to watch the crosses. You can literally do it from their side, so long as your teammates are blocking. And realistically, worst case scenario, you flip them. There's how long left? Can't see, it's so bright. Okay, there's 50 seconds left. Your teammates have got control of the hill. Worst case scenario, if you take your time to go round and you block them, you're going to have the new spawns, and your teammates are currently in the hill, so they're going to be fighting for it. Luckily, the maximum your enemy is going to get is like 20-second scrap, but then you'll have the new hill, the new spawns at the new hill. And what having control of this area of the map does is when you do want to flip spawns, you can really aggressively just push to the new hill through tunnel or top snow or through warehouse and flip the spawns so that they get the worst spawn. So it's real nice that if your team have got control of this area, the enemy is spawning over here. This applies to any sort of map like this or any hill on this map, whether it's P3 or P4. You can stay up here and just watch them come out of their spawn. I'm going to skip a little bit. I know this video is getting long and we don't like really long videos. I also wanted to point out something quickly. So when we do eventually get to the top, we have challenged a really weird side of this thing. Now, up here, there's some cover. You've got this main bit of cover. There's also a little, I don't know whether you can see on the minimap, there's also a couple of little AC units. The way you've challenged has absolutely zero cover. If you wanted to stay up here, fine, I don't mind that. But you need to go to the cover so that you've got the advantage in the gunfight, because you're going to be shooting across other people with cover. So yeah, if you're challenging up here, fine, but stay behind cover. So we come out of spawn, go bottom maze. Again, we're trying to get that middle control, which I absolutely love. And we're actually rotating early. I don't mind this. A better, more efficient way to do that would be through tunnel because it's more direct. But I don't hate this. Now, your teammate has just spawned out, which means that you're not quite doing the job. And what that tells you is that they haven't spawned on you because an enemy is near. So if this spawn was completely free and open, your teammate would have spawned with you. The fact that they haven't tells you that there's someone close, someone who is also trying to block spawns on the other team, or at least rotate early. There they are. I didn't know that was coming, honestly. But the fact your teammate spawned out should have given you, like, rung alarm bells that someone was pushing. That probably would have potentially given you the opportunity to win the gunfight. It's fine, we rotate around the left, we get a good kill. Your gunshots, there's a reason I'm not focusing too much on the gunshots and your ability to shoot, because you seem to be fairly decent at it. I don't think that's something that you need to work on. It's more your maneuverability around the map, which is what I'm trying to focus on here. Good avoidance of the stun. Good avoidance of the nade. They're not going to be spawning back there. Whilst you're in this position, they're going to be spawning maze. You can be anywhere along this region, and they're not going to spawn here. You can, that's just not going to happen because you can see that spawn. You don't necessarily have to be just directly looking at it. You could just be in that area. They're not going to spawn there ever. So it's a 4 versus 1 now on the hill. He's gone inside. You need to be training your teammate there massively. Okay, I'm going to break down what just happened here. So, we're pushing this. Teammate gets 1, teammate gets 2. Teammate gets 3. We know exactly where the fourth player is. We need to wipe the whole team. Your teammates just died to the same player. You need to get in there. You need to be chasing your teammate up. Run in there, get your pistol out, get your Renetti, and just challenge that guy. That guy needs to die because you're not going to be able to get on the hill unless he does. Look, you've left your teammate to it. You left your teammate to it. You follow him up. Get the trade. He's probably weak after taking on 2 gunfights. It should be an easy kill. You need to go in there, trade your teammate. You don't need to be back here to block the spawns whatsoever. The enemies are already spawning out. Don't need to worry about that. Your main focus is to trade this player right here, because otherwise he's going to stop you from getting on the hill. You know what? He's healing, he's healing, he's healing. You can't get on the hill because you're afraid of the challenge, and we've given away 10 seconds, 15 seconds now because you're very concerned about that player there. So we're left with 20 seconds scrap time. It is what it is. Okay, they actually spawn on you. Now, the difficulty we have And it's something I tell a lot of people. If you're a main AR, you really need to know where your teammates are. So make sure you use the tac map whenever you're not sure where the enemy's spawning, because your teammates' positions will help you determine that. Yeah, they spawn on you. That's fine. There's no way to know that without you using the tac map, to be honest. So I'm not to know that either, because I can't see the tac map without you doing it. This spot's fine, but I hate it in higher lobbies because this is the place to pre-aim if you're coming anywhere. So I wouldn't stay here for long. There's not really any cover here. Maybe only visual cover, because you can shoot through the sheet of green thing like it's nothing. Like it's thin air. In any case, I like what you're doing, though. You're holding the back position, you're holding the long line of sights, and you're being that really annoying player who sat deep in the spawn. Love it. Don't mind that. Again, you're hearing gunfights, your teammates are dying, and you're not really sure. You're not getting the info on where they exactly are. Now, I get your teammate might have communicated, the one you're playing with, but you have no idea where they are. I'd love to see you bring up your tac map, which is scoreboard R1 or right bumper. I think, yeah, R1 on your case. And you know exactly where they're going to be coming from. Your use of stuns and nades are really good as well. I really like that's something I often have to critique, and I don't have to do that. Okay, so we're stuck in a little bit of a situation here. Okay, we're pushing here for 10 seconds. Let's say you get the kills and you get on the hill. There's going to be less than 10 seconds left. What you're far better off doing here is just holding their cut to the new hill, or just trying to get to the beneficial spawns of the new hill. There we are. We won 10 seconds. No, we didn't. Do you know what I mean? Is that the most sensible thing to push? Probably not. If you'd have done this route 15, 20 seconds earlier, you'd have been in a much better position to control P5. But at the moment, your teammates have died, you've got nothing at P5, and they're on it. And you've got no backup support because we've pushed quite late. So I'm hoping you could see the logic there. If you spawn in, and by the time you get to the hill, there's going to be 10 seconds left, maybe even 15, it's not worth it. Go to the near hill, because that's assuming you win the gunfight. You're going to get 10 seconds maximum. I'm not going to critique that too much. You know what went wrong there. Okay, again, there's 20 seconds. By the time you challenge the hill, you know what? Even you win that, even you win the top one as well, there's going to be 15 seconds left. You get on the hill, that's 15 seconds. You're pushing a little bit too late. We had a massive minute lead. We had a whole minute lead, and we've just dropped it because we haven't rotated effectively. Fry him. We're doing a bit too much there. So you know where the player is. All you need to do is pre-aim it. All you need to do is pre-aim it. You don't need to do anything else. The fact that you're running up to them leaves a lot of the gunfight up to luck. Whereas if you just pre-aim that, you can guarantee you're going to get the kill. But it's fine. We've got good spawns for P2. Let's focus on keeping these spawns whilst clearing the hill, keeping P1 white or uncontested, and then just jumping on P2 when it's available. You have a stun, you have a nade. Let's see something. Nice. Nice. Forced them out of cover. Ooh, didn't quite get the kill. I don't necessarily mind. This is the only thing I'm going to say is you've been here for a while. People are going to start to know you're here, and you're probably going to have multiple eyes staring at you because you've been here for quite a lot of time. Didn't reload properly. Okay, 13 seconds left. Let's see some emphasis towards P5 because they're going to be rotating to the new hill. Yeah, we're tweaking. Tweaking. Let's not choke this. This is a real important part of the map where we need to try and play our lives and get the kills. He's just gone under you to your right. I just saw him. Yeah. That's happened twice where they've just walked. You just saw him here. They've walked under this because you don't have that visibility, and they've just shot you in the side. What's very important here is there's a lot of bloody pressure on you, right? You need to get the first kills, and then you can push up. Then you can get you need to guarantee the first kills. You need to be sitting in a real horrible spot that they're not going to check, which is probably where I'd go, is the back steps. Once you get the initial kills, push through and then get to the oil area, get to your platform out there. But you need to get the first kills on this hill, otherwise they're just going to break it like that. So you need to play for your guarantees in this position. We die, we spawn out. I imagine this is where things go horrible. Nice trade. I don't know if we didn't hear it or not, but I imagine the pressure's getting to you and the fact that you need to progress up the map. Now, this is an interesting one. You've spawned tunnel. Now, you didn't just spawn tunnel, so something in your head needs to go, okay, why have I spawned tunnel instead of just the backside of the warehouse? Let me be a bit cautious here, because what you would have naturally just spawned where you just spawned, but the fact you haven't tells you there's an enemy in that vicinity blocking it. And what further confirms that is the fact your teammates push through maze, which is potentially blocking the spawn, which the person you just killed might be coming from your warehouse. So just be very careful pushing out of this, that you might get shot from someone on P5. Yeah, we haven't seen them, to be fair. We've ran through the map. Fine. Yeah, this isn't ending well, is it? Okay, I don't mind this. You're blocking the spawn back there from being over here, so you just need to really work on getting these kills. Nice, get to cover. Slide, get to cover. Use this head glitch. Yep. You got to be quick. There's 8 seconds. 5. They're not going to challenge. There's 7 seconds. 3, even. Syllabi. Okay. So, I'm going to start with what was really nice. So first things first, your ability to shoot straight was often decent. Okay, like you won a lot of gunfights that you should have won. The only reason you didn't win a gunfight was perhaps because your positioning was a little bit out of sorts. Your movement in gunfights is fine. I would probably reduce the amount of times you jump during a gunfight, because it can really throw your aim off. Just like your gun balance and your gun stability and everything just gets thrown off a little bit. And I really like your use of stuns, nades, and trophies. That is a really nice fundamental thing. I'm seeing you do really bloody well. What I also like is you generally do understand the gist of where people are coming from. So your spawn knowledge, like you say, can be worked on. Fine, maybe a little bit, but you understand. There was a lot of times here where you didn't not read where the enemy was coming from. So yeah. Your shots are decent. Your movement in gunfights mainly are decent. Your use of your utility, very good. And your ability to sort of understand and get the gist of where enemies are coming from, also really good. So there are really good positive things I want you to do. And that, to be fair, is enough to get you to Crimson. That's perfect. Now, the thing you wanted me to focus on, and that is, weirdly enough, the thing you seem to be a little bit uncertain about, is the way you move around the map. Now, I know this is one example. This is an S&D, this is control, this is hardpoint on one map. But what I'm seeing is you not utilizing the power positions as much as you could. Being in positions like this, where you can't see much, was a really great example of it. And a really easy way to fix that is watch someone who uses an AR, who is iridescent, and see where they hold. Where are their go-to spots, and be like, okay, I need to do that. That's a real nice spot. I can see a nice angle. And that's probably the easiest way to do it. But the hard way to do it, and the way you can apply it to any map, is that you need to be cutting off where they're spawning and where they need to be in a position where you can see most places they're coming from and account for a lot of areas. What I saw a lot in this gameplay was you were watching a potential way they could come from, which left a lot of other areas potentially open, and they seeped through and they got through that way. So you need to be making sure that you are covering as much as you can as an AR player, and if you're not covering as much as you can, be aware that they can be through there, and just be a little bit more sensible when you're pushing areas where you don't have the information. So yeah, that's the main thing I noticed. Your ability to use cover could have some work as well. The amount of times we challenge this window without, crouching or, not jiggle peeking it, is something that could be improved upon. And I'm assuming that's going to be the way you move across all maps. And the way you approach top third, you decided to run out of the cover to challenge top snow rather than getting behind the AC, which you later corrected. So I'm not gonna, it's not an awful thing. Yeah, just be very much more thoughtful when you're taking on gunfights, that you're in the best position you can be to win, and you're watching the areas you need to be. But yeah, watch your VODs. If you're recording this for me, you can record it for yourself. Go through and be like, okay, I died there. What could have done better to not die there? What positioning? And I wouldn't necessarily focus about your gun skill, because your gun skill seems fairly adequate. Work on, okay, what position, what cover could I have used to watch a similar angle, or to watch more angles from a more beneficial spot? But yeah, your max so far has been Crim 1 from this gameplay. There's a little left to be desired to get to Iridescent. I would say getting to Crim 3 is going to be fairly easy for you if you implement those things. But getting to Iridescent, you've got to know spawns like that. Your shooting's fine, but your shooting's, try fine-tune the things you're really good at already, but you really need to make sure that you're using the map to the best of its ability, and the best of, using the cover, moving up the map, getting the really good, control areas. They're the main things, and you work on them. You can get to Iridescent, but it's going to be a push. It's going to take a lot of grinding, and you're going to have to watch your own VOD and put in a lot of work yourself to get better on other maps, because I can't, obviously this is only for Sub Base. But yeah, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. For those of you who aren't Joey, let me know your thoughts, and if you are happy still grinding MW3 to get better at it. So yeah, that's it from me. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Ciao for now.